Well, good morning. We've been not doing this for a while, but now we're going to get back to it. So, we're going to continue our study on the life of Christ. And these next 5 short segments, we're going to be talking about follow the leader. So, growing up, as kids, we all enjoyed playing the game, follow the leader. But throughout the scripture, we'll find that there's leaders that we should follow and instructions that our lives should be making sure that we obey. Colossians 3:20 says, "Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing to the Lord." Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through 3 tell us, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth." Sometimes it's hard for me to imagine that Jesus had parents. How do you parent the Son of God? And how does God in flesh honor his parents' authority? So in these next sessions, we're going to see how Jesus related to his earthly parents. This will be one of the most important parts of your journey as you deepen your relationship with Jesus. Your parents were put on earth for several reasons. Number one, they see the real you that no one else sees. They're the first one to see if your walk with Jesus is real or if you're only putting on a front. When you come home, you take off your mask and the real you comes out. Number two, parents are supposed to model godly characters before you. Believe it or not, the majority of us will eventually take on most of the characteristics of our parents. The good news is, if you have godly parents, then you'll have something to model your life after. If you don't have godly parents, then you'll need to resist the temptation to do the things that they were doing that were not pleasing unto God. Number three, God gives parents a unique ability to see danger that's headed to their children. If you listen to it objectively, God will use them to protect you from destructive relationships and situations. Number four, most parents love their children and desire the best for them. And all children desire a heart connection with their parents and for that relationship to be a healthy one. If you do not live with your parents, or if your parents have failed to fulfill their God-given responsibility, God will be your parent, period. In fact, many of the Old Testament men and women who God used were orphaned from they were either orphans or they were from a one-parent family. As we get ready to dive in these next 5 segments, I want you to remember God designed you and he knows how you are wired. Ask God to give you an open heart as he pours into you from his word in these next upcoming lessons. So let's look at Luke chapter 2, verses 41 through 50. This passage is about the boy Jesus in the temple. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he, speaking of Jesus, was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. And when they had fulfilled the days, as they returned, the child Jesus tarried behind in Jerusalem, and Joseph and his mother knew not of it. But they, supposing him to have been in the company, went a day's journey and sought him among their kinfolk and acquaintance. And when they found him not, they turned back again to Jerusalem, seeking him. And it came to pass that after 3 days they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. And all that heard him were astonished at his understanding and answers. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou dealt with us? Why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I sought thee, sorrowing. And he said unto them, How is it that you sought me? Wish ye not I must be about my father's business? In other words, don't you know that I must be about my father's business? And they understood not the saying which he spoke unto them. It's difficult to imagine God himself having to yield to his earthly parents' authority. So in the passage that we just read, Jesus didn't stay with his parents. After 3 days, they found him in a temple. Jesus honestly told them that he had to do the will of God. A misunderstanding took place, which is common among parents and teens. Yet, if you notice, Jesus never raised his voice. The most important thing is not that misunderstanding happens between you and your parents. The important thing is how you respond when those misunderstandings take place. God will use conflicts and trials to grow you. It sounds like a test. Tests reveal what you know and what you don't know. What are some of the weak areas in your relationship with your mom and dad? What are some of the weak areas in your relationships between you and your children if you are a parent? There's something to think about, and pray and ask God to help you to mend those relationships so that you have that open communication between you and your parents or you and your child.